Hey, this is Eric from Catching Light.
Hey, this is Hemp.
Hey, this is Glenn.
Hi, I'm Steve-O.
Hey, this is Drew Hines with Hindsight Imagery.
This is Matt Callahan at Digimatty Photographic Services.
Hey, this is Jason, and welcome to Tales from the Pit. Hello and welcome to Tales from the Pit, the behind-the-lens access for concerts and photography. Today we have a very special guest. His name is Bryson Roatch. And Bryson, you've been in the industry for a while. You've done a lot of cool things. You've been all over the place. Before we get too deep into all that, can you give us a little bit of a history of, well, first, welcome to the show. And can you give us a little bit of a history of how you got in the industry and stuff like that?
Yeah, so basically for me, bit of a unique story. As you probably know, but the viewers don't know, Jacoby from Papa Roach is my brother, the lead singer. And about, 7-8 years ago, he saw, dude, you want to come out on the road and be a VIP coordinator? And I was like, sure, what the hell is a VIP coordinator? He's like, basically you just bring our fans that pay money to meet us backstage and you coordinate this whole thing. I'm like, that's easy enough. And at the time, Facebook, was a thing, and but it was like you could only post text, comments and text. You couldn't post pictures or any kind of video or any of that content. So at the time, that started to happen. You could post photos and not video yet, just photos. And I was like, holy shit! And at the time they gave me a camera, to shoot the photos of the band with the fans backstage.
Yeah.
And I had this camera. I was like, shit, you guys, we could post content and photos of you guys doing shit. Like, this is revolutionary, and they're like, sure. And I just started taking photos naturally of the band as a VIP coordinator. And that's really where it was really the most organic thing of how I got into this industry. Seriously. I mean, an opportunity just like anybody would have from their father who works at owns a company at home and says, son, do you want an opportunity? Same thing with my brother. And honestly, it just kind of sparked from there, a natural thing. And obviously content's just become so king, and God, I'm so lucky. You know what I mean? Like, what if I never went to school? I never did anything. I just landed in this thing that developed. And as time went on, started doing photography. Then I was like, oh shit, can't make any money doing photography. So I started doing videos. And because that started to naturally come into play on social media. And now I'm like creative director for artists. And, it's just this natural thing that's really developed from such an organic place, to be honest.
Cool. So when you first got into the VIP side of things, was there anyone to give you any guidance or anything? Or did you just get kind of thrown in and just figure it out?
There was this company called Ground Control, and they're the ones doing all the VIPs. They're now called Ground Control. God, I don't know their names, but they do like Miley Cyrus, and they're huge now, big people. But they gave me the opportunity, and they were just they gave me a little guidance. It was like, here, you go outside, you check off their names, you bring them backstage. And it actually was kind of a harder job than you think, because you're hoarding around, these people just think since they paid money, they can act how they want to act. And
Yeah.
You had to start kind of giving them these rules, because they'd come back there and just, kind of cross the line with the band.
Sure.
So what was your question again? Was I on the right track?
So what was your sort of background with getting started with the VIP? Did you?
I just had no background. I mean, I had an opportunity, and I at the time, I think, gosh, what was I doing? I was like a host at the Hard Rock Cafe. Not even a server. And I was like, this sucks, and I always have, been intrigued by my brother's industry. One thing I knew is I'd never wanted to be a musician. I just was like, my brother's got that on lock. I didn't want to try to compete with that. That was never a thing for me. So he just gave me the opportunity, and me and my brother have always had a really neat bond. We're both very eccentric people, and we're both very in depth. And Dude, so yeah, he just gave me this thing, and I started trying to learn how to VIP meet and greet, and I did that for like 3 years. I don't really think I did it for any other bands. I just kind of liked doing it with my brother, and
Yep.
um I was a VIP meet and greeter, get coordinator for a while. Not a dream job, but hey, I got to see the world. That was the thing. It took me,
Yeah.
it started taking me. I got to go to Europe all of a sudden. I was like, holy shit, this stupid little thing, I'm going all around the world. So I rode that wave.
So so you got your first camera, or they handed you a camera. Was that just like a point and shoot type of thing?
Yeah, they gave me a Canon T2Y, if you remember that one.
Oh yeah.
And that thing was hot shit, dude. For me at the time, I was like, "Ew, I guess thing could do video and stuff." It wasn't 4K, I don't think, at the time.
No.
But I just started shooting photos, man, backstage. I mean, it was so sick. Like, you know, you have this camera that's given to you, and eventually they just kind of gave it to me. Like, they were like, I kept it. You know what I mean? It was like mine because I had it for 3 years doing that job. And I was just doing photos. And actually, to be honest, before I got that job, I was messing with flip videos. Do you remember flip videos?
Oh yeah.
Mhm.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
The little like
cameras?
those things.
Yeah. Yeah.
That was before Papa Roach touring. Like, I had one of those, and I was just kind of filming my adventures. And I guess to go way back, my grandpa Roach was always filming on a VHS video camera thing, like as a kid. So I think somewhat that kind of was a thing in my life. He was always, oh, Bryson's playing in the yard, you know, whatever. But I think that's kind of the deep rooted of like where I took that interest of like these things, right? I thought that was pretty cool.
So after you have that camera for a while, you kind of get comfortable. What's the upgrade? What's the next step with that?
So I did that, and I had the T2Y. I think I ended up going to the Canon 5D Mark II, you know? And that was the shit. I mean, still is a pretty dope camera.
Yeah.
And I went to that because I started doing more video, and I don't really remember at that time what I was doing on the video. It was a lot of like behind the scenes, just capturing the moment, so fly on the wall, you know? And I remember I was doing the Canon thing, and then eventually I started to get pretty good at this thing, and I was looking at Sony's, you know, and Sony's was like what all these people on tour were starting to get, because it was the low light feature thing, right? And you're like, you need low light features so you can shoot inside these dingy punk rock venues or wherever you're at. And so I started to transition to Sony, and that's when I like really like started to pick up my skill set of not just doing behind the scenes, but starting to like shoot music videos on the road, you know, wherever the hell I was like trying to shoot these music videos. And it's hard for me to remember what I was shooting at the time, but it was definitely behind the scenes content, fly on the wall. And I mean, it's came so far where I'm at now. I'm like literally like telling everybody I go out with now, this is what we're going to do. You know, I'm like this creative director, and it's bizarre, man. Cause I'm like, it's like making a record is one thing and 50% of the thing, and touring, but then content is the other 50%. And it's this powerful, like responsible thing I've landed into. And it's getting really exciting, you know?
So you
not
go
this year, but
yeah, obviously. Yeah. So you go for a while with Papa Roach, but you've been working with other bands also. How does that transition go from one band to the other, or what was that process?
So I always try to do no more than like 2 bands a year, because if I start trying to add more bands in that with their schedules, you're really gonna fuck up your clientele and piss them off. You know what I mean? And not make them feel important if you're taking on too much. So like with me, Papa Roach, I'll always work with them because they always take care of me. They always, I mean, they've kept me on a retainer this year through all this craziness. They're always got my back, you know? And, you know, granted, I'm giving them content and keeping things flowing online, but I do them always, and then they're always flexible, you know? So I did, in between of all this, I've done the Struts, you know, that was a big one. I did this band, my very first one, like outside of Papa Roach, was this band called Nothing But Thieves, and they're from the UK. Really cool band if you haven't checked them out. I did a DJ named Stevie Aoki, where I was flying people on private jets and doing that whole thing. And that was pretty cool, but not for me because I have a fear of flying. And when you're flying like every day, I mean, that guy literally, I think one day I did a show in Vegas at 3 p.m. Then we flew to Dominican Republic and did a show that night at 2 p.m. And then to New York City the same. I did like 3 shows in one night, and that was like kind of normal for this dude. And I'm like, I'm so disconnected from reality and not sleeping. I was like, this is not for me.
Yeah.
And it was the dopest opportunity because I was making tons of money, but so bad. Dude, the craziest story, I think this is like a fun one. I mean, I've worked for Asking Alexandria, a band called Memphis May Fire. I just landed a gig this week with Rise Against. So that starts next year, which is going to be fucking sick. Awesome. But the best one of all, I was in Peru. This is a funny story. I was in Peru. We were doing this big festival, and I was in this elevator, and this like babe of a chick walks up to me, and she's like, "Are you Bryson Roatch?" And I was like, "Yeah, what's up?" You know? And she's like, "I love your work. I love what you stand for, blah, blah, blah." And she's like, "I've read your blogs. You write about bipolar or your struggles of mental illness." And I was like, "Oh, okay. Like not my video work. Cool." She's like, "You got to meet my husband." I was like, "Oh shit, you got a husband?" You know? And so she brings me to her husband, and we're in this hotel after this festival. Her husband's ScottStapp from Creed, you know?
Oh, really? All right.
Yeah. And he's like, "Love your work, brother." I was like, "Holy shit, it's ScottStapp, like a legend," you know? And long story short, after that night, we bro down and we kind of, you know, connect, and they asked me to kind of come on tour with them, and liked my work, but also like I at the time, you know, you obviously in the world, you've seen like Scott has struggled with mental illness and out things. And they just thought it would be a good fit to have someone like me that's gone through some mental illness and shit and kind of be a companion for him / do content for him because they were a fan. And it was really cool, man. We only did it a few months and stuff, but really nice guy. And that was just kind of a fun story of how that job happened one time. And we still talk here and there on text and stuff. It's cool.
How recent was that? Was that like a couple years ago, or?
It had to have been like 3 years ago. You know, I did that run with him. He was doing solo stuff, an acoustic tour at one time. And then I really broke down with his boy. He had Bumblefoot doing guitars for him.
Yeah.
Nice. Which, you know, was on Guns N' Roses and stuff. And me and him became buds on those tours. Really nice guy. Yeah.
So when you go from artist to artist and stuff like that, are you strictly focusing on videography or photography or VIP? What's your focus for artists now?
I mean, so it's always been on tour, like video and photography. Okay. I've always like, you know, make sure that things are looking good. And depending on the artist, some artists want, you know, them to be looking good the whole time. Papa Roach as a whole, they're just kind of like make the band look cool. You know, they're not like give us individuals content to look cool online. So like I'm doing photo to video. But nowadays I really try to go out there and I try to like, what do we really need? Like if I'm going to sacrifice my life, like health and sleep out here, like just going for it. I don't try to go out there and just kill myself anymore. Yeah. I'm like, what do we need? Are we focusing on a certain song we're trying to promote? Are we trying to get a live concert music video? Are we trying to shoot a music video? Like, and so like now I go out with a goal and a focus, like moving forward, I'm always with a focus. And it's a lot easier on the band because sometimes nowadays, like content's so needed that the fly on the wall thing doesn't work anymore. You actually have to get certain shit, you know? And so bands don't want to be like burdened by it. Like it's part of the schedule now, dude. It's like, you've got radio interviews, meet and greets, content shooting. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So it's crazy, dude. Like on the day sheet, you see these things and it used to just be like radio, okay, sound check. Now it's like, here's content time. You know what I mean? Yep. It's become such a big popular thing. And so nowadays I'm out there with a focus. And, you know, whatever that duty is, if it's a music video that week, then I got to advance. Like I've shot in castles in Germany, you know, and I just like call up a castle and try to make it happen. And it's happened before. You know, you can make crazy things happen on tour. LA is like the worst because everybody wants to get paid, you know, and their locations are so much, but you could get anything you want kind of doing trades. I'll post you on social media and then people let you shoot in a castle in Germany. LA would be 20 grand to have that location, you know?
Yeah. So speaking of the castle, was that for the Papa Roach video? None of the above? Was that, that one?
On that album, yeah. But on that album, we made the conscious decision to kind of make a music video for every song on that album. Like even if they were just DIY on the road, not big budget. Born for Greatness was like a big budget one. $70,000 budget. We went all out. But a lot of the rest you saw, even we're all like $0 just making it happen. And it's funny because the None of the Above video was actually I called this castle and they spoke German and I was like, shit, I don't speak German. So I had a Papa Roach fan helped me that spoke German and wrote up this email for me and got it. And I wanted dancers in it. And the guy at the castle that was the castle keeper, his wife owned a dance school. And he was like, we'll do it for free. You know, I was like, shit, this is crazy. And he ended up renting a van, picking us up at 6 a.m. that day. He had the local news come out because he thought it was so cool. And it was like this whole ordeal. And the dancers ended up coming up on stage at night and dancing to that song. It was pretty dope, dude. But a lot of crazy moments like that happen. And I could go on and on. The one, did you see the one with the dominatrix girls in it?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So that was in Germany as well. And I had this thing where I was like, Germany's the dominatrix capital of the world, you know?
Right. Yeah.
And I was like, dude, I just want to shoot some dominatrix chicks. Like sometimes I just have these, like, I guess you could call it a fantasy, but also just like an artistic opportunity that is such a cultural thing there in Germany, you know, like this is where this all began. And so I found this, like, that the little tiny girl in it that was doing all the dom stuff was a real dom, and the other girl was like a model and she'd never done that. And anyways, we ended up doing that all backstage at a venue, and it was this cool video that got like 4 million views that we took and did in like an hour and a half backstage, you know?
Yep.
And it was fun, dude. I had these girls like pouring wax on themselves, and it was weird. I had a bunch of people around. We were all like, this is crazy, but they had fun. It was fun.
So does the band come to you with an idea for the song, or do you just say, look, I just want to do this to the band?
For me, so like it depends on the band. Like Papa Roach in particular, they kind of let me do me. You know what I mean? They're like, yeah, come with an idea. My brother Jacoby's always kind of got ideas. Tobin's like the bass player is kind of the musical director. Yep. He cares about the music and writing the songs. And he sometimes will come and be like, dude, Billie Eilish or Youngblood are doing this. It's cool. Or Bring Me the Horizon. Like, someone cool. We should do this shit. And I'm like, I take that into consideration. But for the most part, they let me come up with crazy ideas, dude. And this new album, I've written so many just stupid, cool ideas to like market the band, but also, you know, just, I mean, I'm the guy that gets to come up with all the shit for them for the most part. It's pretty cool. But like other bands, like the Struts, their singer was very hands-on with me of like what he wanted to do and whatnot. And I honestly like the people that I either like it, they like work with me and like are excited, or they just let me do my thing. But if they just complain and like shut down the ideas all the time, I try not to work with those bands.
Yeah, I get it. Now
where do you get your inspiration from? I mean, where did these thoughts come from?
Yeah, that's a good question. A lot of different times. So a lot of my inspiration will come from a personal thing I've always wanted to do. You know, sometimes if I want to go on tour with a band, I'll be like, let's go find the best burger in town. And that's what we're going to do on this tour. And that's what the content is. And it's because I wanted to fucking go find the best burger in town, but I use the band, you know, that's like a thing. But if it's like a music video, sometimes it's like something I'm going through or something I feel like the world needs to hear. And I'll tell it through the band, or sometimes I just simply go to Pinterest and I'm like inspired by cool shit on Pinterest. That's a big, visually, I find a lot of my visual inspiration on Pinterest. Yep. But then I'm also super inspired. But like this year's been hard because I'm not traveling, and a lot of my inspiration comes from traveling and meeting people and like hearing things. And so I'm just been a lot of my inspiration this year and preparation for the next year is like Pinterest. And I'm having a hard time being inspired this year, but I'm coming out of it. You know, I think we all are coming out of it to a certain degree and hopefulness that next year is cool.
So. Yeah.
Cool. But yeah, I mean, a lot of it's, I mean, dude, I had a dream the other night. I'll just tell you this one. I literally woke up 3 days ago and I was like, fuck. I was like, and I wrote this music video down. I was like, what if we had like a person like Grandson or some new artist, and it was like a song about living your life to the fullest. I was like, what if we shot this one take music video and I hired like a skydiver filmmaker, and it's like starts off in an airplane and he's like, you know, what, live your life to the fullest, motherfucker, or whatever. And then he just jumps out of the airplane and like you film the singer like all one take. And then when he hits the ground, it's like down in this field, there's all these like props and dancers and things, but it's all one take. But it starts from like a skydive from the thing, like instantly captivating you, you know? I thought that would be like a one take music video, doesn't stop filming, but it starts from skydiving. That would be insane.
So you know, and I just out of a plane.
No, I'm not doing it. I fucking hate planes. But
the guy that doesn't like flying.
Like, there's skydivers that, you know, are do this shit and can film it like crazy. Right. So dude, mark my words, like I'm going to make that one happen. You'll remember on this show, the first time I announced
There
it.
you go. Perfect.
Like that was an idea, and I might not use it for Papa Roach, but I'll save it because that's what a lot of times I save it for the right moment. And I just thought that would be wild, dude. I'm not much of a like music video guy that's like, I want to tell a story about the dad that beats his kid and like he's an alcoholic, or I like to just come up with like visuals that are kind of wild and cool, and that's more my style and my art, you know, or something that makes you feel something. I don't know if you guys saw Come Around video with Papa Roach.
Yep.
Did you see that one?
Yep.
I could tell you about that one if you guys want to hear about it. That
Go for it. Yeah, man.
Hey, that's what we're here for, man.
I mean, that one was pretty crazy because that was a real situation. I wanted to pretty much tell the parallels of what the band meant to a fan and what a fan meant to a band, right? And that kind of experience. And so long story short, I found this guy that had been a fan for a long time who lived in like the Harlem, like in the ghetto in the Harlem, like of New York, you know? And he's been coming to shows for years. He's an awesome guy. And I was like, this is the guy I want to do it with. So I flew out to New York and I just hung out with him all day. I was like, as he prepared for the show that night, you know, and started off at his house and went on the train. And we ended up going to his sister's grave site who was like always taking him to Papa Roach shows as a kid, but she had passed away and he cried like naturally there. And that was a part of it. Was crazy, dude. And then I'm filming the band with them at home with their talking on FaceTime with their kids, and they're preparing for the show. And I'm going back and forth. And finally at the end, they were at the show together in this front row rocking out. At the end, I had this idea. I was like, what if we give this guy free tickets the rest of his life? And we're like, fucking, let's do it. So like I called Papa Roach's manager, is like helping me make these gold plated fucking things that day. And then he loves WWE. Well, you didn't see this part, but he loves WWE, and we hit up the WWE, and backstage we gave him fucking a bunch of WWE swag and like a belt. And then we made him a plaque that had his sister's name on it, who passed away, and he just lost his shit. I mean, I cry every time when I see the video, but that kind of shit is like, as you know, with my brother's music, like we are in touch with humanity, you know what I mean? And that's really a big part of our style of art, you know?
Yeah. For our listeners, where can we find these videos for somebody that's listening now that wants to watch?
Yeah, I mean, some of them, I guess my name is under them, but they're all on YouTube, and you know,
Papa
Roach has got some good ones. Struts, Asking Alexandria, you know, they're out there, and you just got to kind of look for them. I guess my name, Bryson Roach, might be tied to some of them. You know, I'm trying to get my name more on them lately because I feel like when they get 10 million views and my name's not anywhere to be seen, that doesn't help me too much, you know?
Exactly.
Yeah, the credits don't help.
Yeah, those videos are all actually, being a big Papa Roach fan, and videos such as that is so. I mean, they're so important for the artist to really represent. I mean, you're really showing the heart of the artist and the fan connection and stuff like that. You know, it's just so important for a band to see a video like that. Just when I saw it, obviously you tear up watching that. You can't help but tear up watching that
every time.
Yeah, it's so good every time, and Papa Roach has such awesome videos. I think you've probably done most of the videos for the past couple albums, right?
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
They always usually will do one big budget kind of video with some cool director, and then I get to clean up the rest of the scraps, but they're not scraps. They're still important.
They're killer videos. I mean?
They just,
Dude,
yeah. But,
the video, oh shoot, I can't remember the name of the video, but well, let's talk about the budget of. So when you have video ideas, so for example, that video you just talked about for Come Around, do you come to the band and say, this is what I want to do, this is what I think it's going to cost, or do they just say, just go do it? And
so it's different scenarios. Most of the scenarios are, we need to get this done next week. Will you fucking do it? Just make it happen. That's like the way everybody does shit these days. And I'm like, okay, what's the budget? They're like $5,000, something stupid. And I'm like, okay. So most of the time I don't get to have a big crew and lighting people and all these things. I'm just kind of making it happen. And there's been a few scenarios, probably like 4 scenarios. I've done a boy band one time, I did a big budget Papa Roach one. Recently, next month, I'm doing another video for this TikTok kid. I don't know if you've seen this, but this kid on TikTok covered a Papa Roach song. Did you see this kid, Jarris Johnson?
Maybe. I don't know.
So this kid did a cover of Last Resort. A fan sent it to me. It was freaking great.
Okay.
I was like, holy shit, this is really good. So I DM'd the kid and I said, hey man, I can get you in the studio with the singer for Papa Roach to do a TikTok, you know? And we all hate fucking TikTok right now, but we're trying to adapt, you know? And so my brother's like, I don't know. And I'm like, dude, because I don't know, because it's a legendary song and he's like got a TikToker on it. I was like, just trust me, this kid's got 1 million followers, like, let's do it. So they get in the studio. This is all leading to a music video thing. So we get them in the studio and they do this little TikTok for 15 seconds on an iPhone, and in 2 days it gets 4 million views, you know, goes viral. The kid, so long story short, this thing turned into a real music video, and they went and re-recorded the song, and there's a massive budget for this video I'm directing in January, and all because of a TikTok video. And so I wrote a treatment and kind of controlled this whole piece that came together, and that's a lot of fun, man, because it was just like, that was like another thing that just from the grassroots happened. It wasn't usually a label would come to me and say, hey, can you write a treatment? We've got this budget. But this was very taboo and weird, you know what I mean? But it's going to be crazy. I won't say much more about everything, but it's going to be sick. It's going to be a really great video. There's going to be fire in it and flames, and it's going to be wild.
Do they have like a release time period or anything like that when we would expect it? I know you haven't done anything yet, but
I mean, I don't know if I can say any of that, but probably early next year for sure. I don't know if I was even allowed to say half of that, but
okay,
whatever. I'm sure this will come out at the same time.
Yeah, this is probably this won't be till January or February. So going back to photography for a few minutes, what is like when you shooting stuff? I know you're more focused on video, but when you were doing photography, what was your process? What was your routine? Did you shoot a bunch, edit? You know, what was your daily routine back then?
So my daily routine I'll just tell you between the video and photo on the tour is basically like I do a lot of my editing in the morning, and because I don't wake up till 1 or noon or 1, you know? So I usually wake up early, do all my shooting starting around like 5 p.m., you know? And I have to keep some sort of a flow, and they have to understand that, because nothing will ever get done if I don't have my time to edit and my time to shoot, right?
Right.
So when I'm in showtime and it's ready to like, okay, I got to get photos and videos in this hour. Okay. So then I'm like, I'll have one camera that's ready for photo, and I'll have one that's my video. And I'm just going ham, dude. I don't really put cameras around my shoulders like a lot of photographers. I have it kind of underneath the stage, tucked away or something. And I usually let security guards know, because I'm in with the security guards every day. Like, they kick everybody else out, but they're always like, don't fuck with this guy and protect his shit. You know what I mean? Yep. So my camera gear is like usually down by a stage near a security guard. They got my back. They're fucking supporting my back when I'm up trying to get the shot on the crowd. Like, it's pretty tight, actually. Like, you just feel really important. Like, you know what I mean? And I usually, like, all the people in the pit at the beginning, I usually don't even go into the pit, because that's their moment to get that moment, you know? And I'm just going to be in their way, really, because I'm going ham. And like, a lot of times I found out the pit people that are in there for the 3 songs are just annoyed by me, because I'm trying to do my job for real. And so I give them their thing. So my thing is, dude, is I just go in there. I usually shoot like a couple songs with photos, and then pick a couple songs with videos. And I usually choose before what I'm focusing on. Do I need to get video of a certain song? Then cool, I'll do that. And the rest I'll shoot around it. And to be honest, like nowadays, dude, like I get enough photos for the band to post in 4 days for a month. You know what I mean? Yeah. So I don't really go there with the shooting every day, because it's just like, what am I going to shoot every day? I know, you know, especially when you understand the show and what they're going to do and where they're going to go and when they're going to put their horns up and when they're going to be up on the crowd. Because you know about all these calls backstage. You got to tell security like, oh, singer's going to go in the crowd during this song. And I already know all that when I'm touring these bands, like the cues of every moment. Right. So I never miss a shot, to be fair. When you get that inside information, right? You guys, when you're shooting, you're just kind of like, all right, let's see what the magic happens. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
And that's also a beautiful, awesome thing. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that at all. That's beautiful. But for me, I'm a little more in the know of what's about to happen. You know, oh, the pyro is going to go off here. Don't stand here. Shoot from here. It's gonna be a great shot because of pyro. You know, whatever.
Yep.
So, you know, and I get to shoot from everywhere, so I get these really wild shots. that no one else gets, you know. But yeah, I mean, that's kind of my process, is just planning ahead, executing it quickly, and then I usually offload it all at nighttime. And I'll get a few. If a band member wants something to post on a social because it was a nutty night, sometimes if it's just the epic night, they're like, dude, can we post that shit? You know, and I'll do that. And usually that's like a simple crowd photo with them bowing or something so they can see the fans and whatever. But I do my editing in the morning because it's like, I don't want to be up till 3 editing. You know, I want to be chilling with the boys and the one girl that's on tour. And no, I'm just usually we got like a PA or somebody that's one girl.
Yeah.
And I want to be chilling and connecting and stuff. And that's half the fun part at the end of the night, is connecting with these people you share such an intimate experience with, you know, on the road.
So are you sending those off to management, or does the band need to look at them first or anything like that? Or are you picking like 5 out of the night, or?
No, I usually put them in a Dropbox at the end of the night or in the morning, whenever I do. And I text them to the guys in a group chat, band management, everybody, and they can go through and kick things out they want that they don't like of themselves. Cause that's the other thing. You're making content where, you know, we're all human and can get insecure with the way we look. Right. So they're like, I look like shit right there. I'm sweating and I'm like, don't want that online. Yeah. But I'm like, that's sick. You look cool. But you know, when you're sweating and gross, it's not that appealing. Yeah. So they have the option to go in there, and I do my best judgment to know what's cool, you know? But it's interesting, man. I mean, with video content, like you have to create these quick and dirty pieces too that don't take forever to edit. So I'll do simple things like fan of the night, you know, and I'll just get fans that are going the craziest in the crowd, and then they get a spotlight on the band's page. Or I'll do, you know, I don't know if you saw the Papa Roach thing where we did People of Papa Roach, where I would go out and I had 2,000 fans spill their hearts out in these letters. I don't know if you saw that shit, but I had this idea, and they were writing us crazy shit, bro. Like some of them were like, you can't share this, but I want Papa Roach to see it. And it was like their father had done awful things to them, and they were transvestites, and now they're a man and now a woman, and they're, you know, just crazy stuff like that, you know? And they were spilling their hearts. And then I'd ask them, hey, can we read this? And then Jacoby would read these letters to them. And that was another quick kind of piece I could get out there every day. I, you know, read the letter, show a couple pictures of the person. So I try to create these quick, impactful pieces. And that one I'm going to keep going, because that one was awesome. And I think people connected to that, and it made them feel important, you know? And that's, I keep going all over the place, but I will say that fans are important, man. And you know, sometimes I'm weirded out by them because they're like all in your face and want things from you. And I'm like this guy that's always out there. So they're trying to get a hold of me or DM me, and it gets annoying. But at the end of the day, like, they're awesome, amazing people to be there and just be expressing themselves and screaming the lyrics. And it is still pretty amazing thing. So I try to incorporate fans with everything I do, because before I was in this industry, I was a fan of shit, and I got a little jaded, and I used to listen to whole records back in the day, and now I don't. And it's just a job, you know. But I did go through, God, I'm all over the place, but I did go through a breakup this year, and there was a record I listened to, and it made me feel that feeling that you maybe have felt when you were, what these kids are feeling. I was like, that was cool for me, because I was like, I see these kids crying in the front row, and I heard this album that I really dig this year, and I was like, it made me feel what these kids were feeling a lot of times.
So when it comes to relationships and being on the road, how does that work for, you know, family and relationships and stuff? Yeah, right. There you go.
No, I mean, for someone like that has kids and a wife, like a lot of the bands that I go with, they definitely make it work. And there's some deep rooted like relationships that are built there. You know, they've been married for years. And with someone like me, I've been single freaking ever. And anytime I have is like usually 3 months to build anything. And it's really hard to build a foundation. You know what I mean? Yep. So for me, I spend a lot of time. I used to be the guy that would be just out there hooking up with the chicks, you know, because why not? This is the coolest opportunity. You don't have to try. These girls just, you know, and I think everybody goes through that phase. Nowadays, I hate it. I feel used. I feel, you know what I mean? I really do. It sounds stupid, but after a while, you're just like, you just want backstage passes, and you get kind of caught up in this usy thing. Like, they're using me for backstage passes. I'm using them to hook up, and it's just stupid. So now I don't do that shit anymore. I'm in a phase where I'm definitely looking for a relationship, but yet it is hard to have that, because thank God for FaceTime. That's a killer thing to see somebody's face and talk, you know?
Yeah.
But I'm still single again. I mean, I had one during this pandemic and it didn't go so well. And nobody wants to date anymore right now because everyone's got COVID probably. Who knows? You know, it's just a weird thing. So
everyone's freaked out.
I mean, shit, dude, it's really is a hard thing. Like if you don't have a foundation, it's almost an impossible thing to have a real relationship. So I struggle with that, wanting to continue to tour more and wanting to just like buy a house and have a girlfriend and do all that. And I'm trying to find the balance now. I'm just like, all right, I'm going to tour for 3 months out of the year and not 8 months, you know, and that's kind of the boundaries I'm setting for myself to start to have that shit in my life, you know?
You find it hard to say no to when somebody offers you a gig and it's like, wow, this could be killer.
Well, to be honest, it depends on the gig. I mean, nowadays, one of my mentors gave me really good advice. He said, it's okay to say no because you gain value in no, you know? So, and I've learned that I say no a lot these days and it does work. They go, shit, well, I can't use and take advantage of him. So I do pick and choose a little bit more these days, and I say no, and I hand them off to other people and whatnot to keep my relationship with other videographers going or whatever. But I haven't had to say no to any ones that I really wanted. Like usually the ones I really want, I'm like, I'm going to make this work, you know? And I always have to kind of confide in Papa Roach because they're my main one and they take care of me. But like this Rise Against thing, this is kind of a new thing and Papa Roach was okay with it. And I'm really excited about that because they're arguably like the biggest punk band in the world, you know? And so I'm going to do it. but no, I mean, I say no to a lot and I say no to it knowing that it'll give me value in the long run, you know? Bands, dude, when they say no to a guarantee to play a show, the promoter will come back a year later and offer them 20 grand more just because they said no. It's a funny thing, man.
Yeah, having
Bryson, obviously you've been on the road a lot. You've been around the world, like you said. Is there any particular place that you really favor and you go back again and say, I gotta see this place again?
I mean, I'll be honest, Europe's like my favorite place to go all the time, every time, because there's simple things of culture, like just drinking shots of espresso all day. That's like a thing, you know, or just the buildings and the architecture just are incredible. Nothing sucks more than touring the middle of America. I'll be honest, like going anywhere in Oklahoma and Texas and you're just like, what are we going to do on our day off? Oh, we'll go to Walmart, you know, like it sucks. So Europe, you could be in the shithole of whatever of Europe, but you're like, there's a castle there or some kind of crazy historical thing. So I will say the ones that stick out to me in Europe is I love Spain. Greece was pretty cool this year. I think Portugal, I've had some neat experiences there. Obviously, a lot of bands do, like Germany's a big market for touring and rock, and Germany's cool, but I'm not the hugest fan of Germany. I like a lot more the southern kind of tropical, not tropical, but warmer. Italy, all that stuff down there. A lot more. I was going to say Italy. Yeah. Italy's really cool. And the food, man. I mean, you do get bored. American food is like a thing where like American food's great. Like a burger, you can't get a dope burger in Europe. You know, you can't go get great Mexican food in Europe. So like the food is awesome for a while, but after a while you're like, I need to get home and get some American food. I need a damn burrito, you know, a good one. And they don't do breakfast very well. You know, we do American breakfast is amazing, but I'd say Europe, man. I mean, that's my favorite every time. Every time I get to go back to Europe, I'm just like so excited. It's such a good vibe.
Cool.
Any places you haven't been to that you want to hit? Yeah,
I think, you know, I've been offered a lot of times to go to Japan and Australia, and usually those ones I don't take sometimes because it's like, all right, I'll fly all the way out there. I'm out there for a week. Like, am I really gonna, it's $2,000, $2,500 for that week worth it to go that far?
Right.
And it's like, cool, I can go there, but the places I do want to go, and I think what will start to happen in this year is I think you're going to see a lot more weird places for us to tour because America's going to kind of be the last one, you know? And so I think like one I'm like hoping that happens is like the South Pacific, South Asia, like Thailand, Bangkok, like Cambodia. I'd love to do, I have this massive fascination with that culture. I love, you know, Thai food. My grandma's, you know, Chinese and like half Chinese, like believe it or not. So I have this thing of like, I just want to go there. It's one place I've just like been dreaming about, like the South Pacific Islands. I don't really care to go to Japan or China or anything, or Russia, but that's where I want to go for sure.
Yeah. Cool. Awesome. Jumping back to some photography stuff. Do you have, you mentioned before the show that you've got a Blackmagic, but can you talk about what you like to use for gear right now? What's your lenses? What's your cameras for video versus photography, stuff like that?
Yeah. I mean, this year I haven't shot much, so I'm going to try to think about what would be my normal rig or get thing. To be honest, with a lot of the video stuff, I like to get a nice wide lens, like a 10 millimeter to 15, or I have a 10 to 18 or something. And that just is when you're doing lifestyle stuff and trying to capture the moment, you don't miss much, you know? And so a lot of my video stuff, when I'm hopping in a van with a band to go to a radio station or whatever doing, it's a wide angle lens, you know? I'll use a Rode mic to get my audio, and those are pretty solid to get some pretty decent audio. For photography, I have them all ready during the show, right? I'm going the zoom ones, I'm clicking the wides, I'm fisheye, I'm just having fun. I'm going off. Cause like, to be honest, when you get before the shows, like the band's doing the huddle, you guys are all ready to go to war. Like it's pretty intense backstage before a show's about to happen. I'm sure you guys have kind of seen it too, being at the venue. Like people are huddling, people are like, let's fucking crush this shit. And you get to be a part of that as a photographer in a way. So I'm pumped at that moment. Like when the shows are happening, I'm like, I take a couple shots before there's a routine. I'm ready to like capture this amazing experience for the band. Sometimes the shows suck for them and you hear about it backstage too, and everybody's bummed because the band's bummed. But so during the show, I'm going off with the lenses, you know what I mean? I'm switching, I'm having fun with it. But nowadays I try to get a lens that can do it all too. You know, like I'll get like a lens that's wide and can zoom. And the cool thing about the Sony is there's a feature on it now where you can like double the zoom on it. Right. I don't know if you've heard about that, you know? And so it's like, you could zoom, if it's 100 millimeter, you can make it 200 and get these crazy shots. And so I could just use one lens essentially at this point. And I do that a lot now. But yeah, that's pretty much kind of the gist of shows. I don't shoot a lot of photography outside of it. Like the shows I will, and photography, man, I'd love to get into it more. It's hard to be like stoked about it when you've done the same shit over and over again. Like at least with video, I can get really creative. Yep. And just think of weird, wild ideas all the time because there's, vocal people are saying shit and doing things and showing emotion. I don't know. Photos are awesome, dude. And I want to get into it more, but if I'm shooting photos now, I want to do more like band photo shoots and like planned stuff. Yep. You know? Yep.
Yeah. Cool. And you said, I believe you said you using the A7 III and what did you say? The A4R or something like that. I forgot what you said.
I got the A7R4.
Yeah.
And I didn't even use it. I bought it and dude, it was 72 megapixels. I'm like, this is sick. And then I got it and like one photo is like a fucking gig. Yeah. And I was like, this is not sick. You know, I was like, what's the point? Like, you know what I mean? So honestly, I'm getting rid of it because it just doesn't suit my needs. It's like, if I'm an editorial badass, then sure, but it doesn't fit for me. So someone's going to get a rad deal because I bought it and haven't used it, and they're going to get a camera that's pretty much brand new when I sell it.
Dude, I'm like right on the fence because I'm holding out for the new A7, whatever it's going to be. And supposedly beginning of next year.
This camera would probably be for you, to be honest. If you're like a photographer, probably it's insane. It's just too much power for someone like me. That's like, I'm a video guy more so, to be honest. Yeah. But I would say, if you want it, dude, I'll take credit card from you because I trust you too, if you want it, and I'll cut you a killer deal.
All right, we'll talk more about that later.
Yeah, hey, man, I got to call his wife right now.
Yeah.
Anyways,
I'm not trying to get you divorced, dude.
Yeah. Hemp, you got any questions?
Yeah, where was I? And then you caught me off.
I got a bunch more. I just want to give you guys a couple of shots.
Yeah. I'm an open book, boys.
Bryson, did you send any photographs to Jason that we could possibly?
No, we haven't got anything. I don't think you did, right?
I didn't
send me anything.
I don't think I did.
No,
I don't think I did. But here's a photograph.
There you go.
Nailed it.
Yeah, I was looking at some of them. Pretty cool.
I could send you some selfies.
One of the things I think you know, when I follow all of your content, I follow all the Papa Roach content, all the stuff that you work with and stuff like that. And I know, I see a lot of stuff like, you know, 50 questions for Jacoby or something like that. And you and Jacoby are just walking around a block or something like that.
Yeah.
Is that like your content time? Is that where you're like, all right, what are we going to do?
Yeah, that's like that 1 hour I get with them. And usually they bitch about it because they hate fucking doing content, dude. Like they just want to rock and be dads and be fathers to their kids. And that's just what's important to them now at a band like that age. Like, but I know how to work with these older bands now. Like I know the politics of what they want and need. The young ones want to do rad shit like that all day. But yeah, that to answer your question, the 50 questions is a part of that content time. It's again, just every tour I try to come up with kind of some unique thing. And that idea I got from, I believe it was like GQ magazine or something. They were doing it with like these, like I saw one with Kim Kardashian and she was like walking around her house, just answering questions and Kanye West was in the background. And like, I just thought it was really intriguing to get an inside one in their home, but also just all these off the spurt questions and everyone's kind of transparent and you don't have the opportunity to like make up some bullshit there. You're just kind of talking and it's raw. And I thought it was cool. Like there was no editing to it. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So that was a fun little one. I mean, every time, dude, I try to I just wrote another idea, dude, that I'm trying to do with Papa Roach where I want to get him in a van and go back to the olden days in a van and just like pick a couple lucky fans and we play an acoustic show in their front yard during this pandemic, you know? And they're like, yeah, let's fucking do it. And I was like, let's just go on a mini tour for a week and like promote it as this fucking tour and whatever. Yeah. And I just always am trying to come up with, I don't want to do what everybody else is trendy and doing, like TikTok and what's cool. Like I always want to be a trendsetter. Like I love that shit, man. I don't know if anyone ever fucking notices it, but at least if the people I'm working with notice it, that's cool, you know?
And are you doing like the stuff? Cause I see them doing like when you're on the road, they do like an acoustic set outside at some public, you know, monument or something like that.
I mean, the one you're probably talking about. Yeah. So that one, you're probably talking about the ones on the stair steps.
Yeah.
That one was, I just wanted to, I've always thought performing in beautiful places is something I've always wanted to do. I've had this idea called Acoustics Gone Wild for a while. And it basically want to take artists into beautiful places and shoot acoustically. And someday I'm going to pitch it to somebody and do it. And I've tried I did it like 7 years on my own on YouTube, but the videos are really bad. So don't go look at them. But that night in particular, that was at 2 a.m. and we were in Bologna, Italy. Yep. And I had been trying to get the guys like rehearse. I want to shoot this. And Tobin like helped with the audio. And we had just this little Zoom recorder. Like, I don't know if you've seen the Zoom recorders. Yep. But you can take these things like externally somewhere. I could be on a fucking mountain and you put the XLR inputs. Yep. We had the SM790 or whatever the hell that the one you're using pretty much.
Yep.
And we had an acoustic and we just went into the middle of a freaking town center with nobody around and shot those and they turned out killer and it was awesome. And, you know, I always shoot those with in mind, like, hey, we could put these on YouTube. We can put them on Spotify and people will listen. And I always want to do that because, again, this is a selfish thing. It's an excuse for me to do something I want to do. Yeah. I'm like, I want to go into the city center and like do this at 2 a.m. because it'll just be a rad experience to just be here with you guys at 2 a.m. when no one around. And that night, a fan actually walked by, which was random because we were not even near. We weren't even playing a show there that night. And this guy's like, Pop, Jacoby? He's like, yeah. He's like, and then I actually had a fan that walked up, hold one of the cameras.
Oh, nice.
At 2 a.m. It was weird, dude. And we weren't even playing. Yeah, I was like, you want to hold a camera, dude? He's like, sure. And I just had him hold like a GoPro. And that was funny. You know what I mean? It was just a random thing. But that's a beautiful thing about those experiences. Like, that's a fun little story, you know?
Now,
and the stories are just endless.
You didn't have a background in video to begin with, or?
Yeah. Nope. Self-taught.
Yeah. So how are you teaching yourself? Just YouTube?
To be honest, yeah. I mean, one, just being on the battlefield and just doing it without just because it was happening. And it's like when you're in these moments and it was naturally happening. I was, you know, I'm traveling the world. I'm around these rock stars. I'm doing this thing, and naturally, you're like, this is fun to capture. Like, this is cool. So it was a very organic thing. Yeah. But for me, to be honest, what really kind of the two things that made me really want to pursue this is it took me around the world. And so I was like, I got to learn how to be great because I'm going to get to keep doing this. And it also was a thing that saved my life. When you stay busy with something and you're doing something of the arts, your brain isn't allowed to capable of going into dark places as much. And it became a lifesaver to me, to be honest. And that's what's been so hard about this pandemic. And I've been really working on my mental health, because the videography, the content creation has been a stability piece in my life. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's been a huge driving force of my passion and it getting better. It's like you sing a band when they're singing about some shit that's fucking hard to sing about and they're connecting with their fans. They're the ones going through that most of the time, and it's healing to them. And so this is what this, but to be fair, moving forward, I want to do a lot more for me lately. I'm really trying to do things for me, because a lot of my shit is through a band, through an artist. Mm-hmm. So it's like, it feels good, but it really is for them. And I'm always serving them. But to answer your question of like why I really pursued it and tried to like learn more and get really good at it is the travel and the happiness it gave me, confidence really and shit.
What was it like at your first concert? Were you shitting your pants, or hoping you didn't screw up, or just because you knew everyone anyways?
Basically, like you were on our first shows.
I mean, for me, it was a very safe place for me to grow. Like,
yeah.
if I was out there with fucking Marilyn Manson the first show, hell yeah. And to be honest, still to this day, even though I know I'm really good at my craft and I've got it dialed in, if I go out there with a new band, I'm nervous because I got to live with them and they got to like me, know, and that's scary as shit to live on a bus with somebody. And these people have big personalities and big egos and big, they're intimidating sometimes. And, going out with the Struts, I don't know if you know the singer, but he's a pretty intimidating, glamorous dude. And going out with him, I was pretty nervous, but it's funny because me and him are hella good friends now. And we talk like for 2 hours on the phone about life. And, but at first I was scared of him because he looked like Freddie Mercury and he had the glamorous things. And I was like, shit, here we go. But no, but to be honest, when I first started, I wasn't too scared because, I was very comfortable with my brother, and I've known my brother's band since I was 5 years old. You know what I mean? But the most nervous thing about those times at the beginning, I remember, is being in front of a crowd like that. Like when you go up on stage, like, are they looking at me? And they're not, they're looking at the singer. Mm-hmm, and I always felt like that was crazy to be out on stage and like, or in the barricade, like, are they looking at me? Like, you just feel there's fucking 100,000 people like right in front of you. It's weird,
Yeah.
Those are the scary parts, to be honest. And I'm sure you guys feel that same way. Don't you feel like, like they're looking at, like, whatever.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm in the way sometimes. Like, am I blocking the band? Am I pissing a fan off? But
and there has been, I've for sure been in, when you're not in a big venue, like an amphitheater, and you're in a tiny club and you're just not much space. Like I've had fans get pissed at me and I'm like, I have to tell them, like, I get mad sometimes. I'm like, I'm doing a fucking job. Like, I'm sorry, but I have to do this, and I've been mad. And a lot of times I've said sorry to some, like, I'm really sorry. Like, you paid a lot of money. Like I have, but for the most part, it's like, I try to think about what they're doing. But the people in the front row, you want to get punished up there. You want to not be able to sometimes see and get a foot to your face when it's flying over. Like, don't bitch. You're there for a reason.
Yep. Yeah. For us, because we're at the same venue show after show, and we're an outdoor venue, so it's mostly a summer or late spring, summer, early fall gigs.
100 degrees.
Yeah. It's pretty warm, but for us, it's a lot of repeat. We see a lot of the same, clients coming through, same fans coming through. We're probably more heavier on the country music. We do have a lot of rock, but the country, we just get a huge country crowd. And for us being up front, it's fun because people start to know who we are sometimes.
Yeah.
Because our job is basically, we got to go out, we got to do the parking lots. We got to go get shots of people tailgating and stuff like that. So we kind of get a little bit of a connection there. And then they see us in the front and they're like, oh, take my picture over here and all stuff like that. Yeah. But when it comes to other photographers, we have a wide mix of crazy to, really nice people coming in and out of there. And, some of them are, magazines, radio, whatever, some sort of publicity or some whatever. And, we've got people that are coming in there that are, really cool. And they're like, hey, man, nice to meet you and stuff like that. And we get other people just like, they'll knock you over to get a shot if they have to. And it's like, come on, dude. You deal with stuff
It's
like
an
that?
interesting. It's yeah. I mean, for the most part, again, I think in the situations I've been in, they know that I'm running that thing
Yeah,
a little bit.
yeah,
Like
yeah.
security guards, again, like they got my back and they're like, "Who is this guy?" The ones where I have more issues is big festival of Danny Wimmer festivals that are like, you know, you've got. I remember one time, this was a crazy. I got to shoot Kiss one night. And
Nice.
they let one person at that show shoot Kiss, and the rest were like people from Rolling Stone and people from like Spin magazine, and it was me. And I was just like, I remember all these guys around me that were these like 60-year-old dudes that have been doing it forever, just like, holy shit, it's fucking Kiss. And I'm in there like, this is awesome. And you know, that was an awesome moment. But I've been in moments at festivals like that where the big festivals, you've got big wig press there, you know,
Yeah.
and people want the respect, and you just know that going into those. But if it's at like a small venue in fucking Lubbock, Texas, I'm like, beat it. Like, you know, I do my thing. I'm always respectful. I never think I'm better than the people there that are shooting because, you know, it's just not cool.
Yeah, I know what you mean,
know?
because all the time I've been doing this, I've never had any problems in the pit, or we all know the security guys too, because like you said, it's the same venue all the time. However, this summer, and Hemp can contest to this.
Oh God.
I had a cameraman grab my shoulder and pull me back because I happened to be in his way for a split
Stupid
second.
shot.
And I'm like, dude, what are you doing? And Hemp actually hopped in and said, dude, back off. I guess he's got a reputation for doing this.
Yeah, you're in
They
COVID.
just
you don't
shocked the
touch
hell
people.
out of me to have that happen. I'm like, whoa, what?
It's the only time. Yeah.
But
yeah, I mean,
other than
I
that,
always know that I have a million opportunities that whole month to get the shot. So I really don't care.
Yeah.
I get annoyed when there's 30 people in there. But like I said, when it's 3 songs, I just don't go in there for those 3 because it's like, what's the point? You know what I mean?
I don't blame you.
For me. But by the way, remind me at the end of this, I got a Alice Cooper story for you guys.
Okay.
Remind me of that, please.
All right. Hey, thanks for watching part 1 of our interview with Bryson Roatch. We hope you enjoyed it. Check out our other guests on our YouTube channel and on talesfromthepit.net. Until then, we'll see you next time.